Dominica to get a multi-million-dollar hurricane recovery package from the World Bank. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Tuesday, October 17. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. The World Bank is providing Dominica with a financial package of more than 30 million EC dollars to help the island recover from the battering it took from Hurricane Maria last month. In an address to the nation on Monday night, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit said he held successful talks with World Bank representatives and officials of other financial institutions while in the United States last week. And he said the World Bank funding would be spread across several programs as part of the overall plan to rebuild after the devastation caused by the Category 5 hurricane.
In some of these programs, we are still pushing to widen the scope of works and funding. Therefore, I am hesitant to quote figures in case they inadvertently consider it a limit to our ambition. However, to give you a sense of proportions, the currently proposed package from the World Bank includes an EC $270 million tranche of funding, alongside a further EC $83 million tranche, specifically for disaster-resilient infrastructure. I believe the disaster-resilient tranche will end up closer to EC $150 million after a reassessment of needs is completed within the next month.
The World Bank has also agreed to increase the proportion of the funding coming in the form of grants rather than loans.
They're also giving us the flexibility to use funds today that were previously assigned for less pressing activities. We have also engaged other development partners who have offered similar flexibility. So separate from the World Bank projects I mentioned, we'll be able to apply already agreed funds of EC $175 million from the United Kingdom and the European Union towards our post-Maria rebuilding exercise.
Prime Minister Skerrit added that the International Monetary Fund also offered expertise and modest overdraft facilities on generous terms. Meantime, the Antigua and Barbuda government says it wants to renegotiate the terms of a $40 million loan from the World Bank. The Washington-based financial institution had approved the loan to rebuild Barbuda following the devastation caused by Hurricane Irma in early September. Speaking on Observer Radio, Prime Minister Gaston Brown said the terms and conditions of the loan were not in the best interest of the island.
$50 million over 10 years. But as far as you're concerned, the term is too short, and we have asked them to reconsider and to perhaps consider up to 20 years with a 5-year moratorium. We have also asked them to reduce the interest rate. The interest rate is closer to 3.5–4%. We've asked them to consider 1% because we've asked them to reconsider the terms, and they said that they will put it to the board and they'll get back to us.
Brown had said soon after the passage of the Category 5 hurricane that more than $100 million would be required to rebuild Barbuda, which was home to an estimated 1,600 people. He says the World Bank was also informed that the funds would be going into non-revenue earning projects.
If it was grants, we'll push for more. But you have to be careful in terms of how much we borrow, or we have to be careful in terms of the amount that we borrow. Because it's not only about borrowing, you have to have the capacity to repay. The unfortunate thing with this particular loan is that most of the funds will be going into non-revenue generating resilient infrastructure. So for example, in Barbuda, we'll be putting the lines on the ground. We'll be replacing all of the wooden posts with concrete posts. And technically speaking, those won't create any funds, any revenue. So again, we have to make sure that we do not overburden the Treasury, because at the end of the day, we have to pay it back.
Grenada's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell is hoping that industrial unrest in the island's public sector won't escalate. And this is even as members of the Technical and Allied Workers Union and the Public Workers Union remained off the job for a second straight day. The workers are protesting government's refusal to meet their demands for an additional 1,500 EC dollars in a one-off payment for increases lost during the 3-year period of the Homegrown Structural Adjustment Program. But Prime Minister Mitchell maintains that acceding to the union's request would increase the government's debt burden by $9 million and cause the government to lose millions in debt relief, something he says he's not prepared to do.
Let's face it, throughout all the period 2008 to 2013, we have had enormous increases to public service. Enormous. We have also now regularized a lot of public workers who are languishing on temporary jobs and sometimes contract jobs for years. We are now correcting that. It costs millions of dollars to do this. I announced the pension issue, that we are not responsible for it. We didn't create it, but we are solving it. So the only government that is doing everything and solving all the problems of the past, including late payments to the workers, including not selling assets to pay workers, including attempting to solve the problem of the youth unemployment, that deal with Grand Bacolet Center to help take care of young people that find themselves in difficulties. The government is doing that, doing all the innovation in the Ministry of Health to change the status quo of healthcare in this country. The one is providing hundreds of scholarships. The one that's fixing the roads infrastructure. 4.5 years ago, 5 years ago, how many roads were done? The same government that is doing that is the one that is being attacked.
The unions are saying their action has been successful, but Mitchell, who's also finance minister, says the protest action was not having the desired effect. He said a visit to the Revenue Office on Tuesday revealed that most of the employees were at their jobs. In a release issued on Monday evening, the government thanked public servants who chose to work on the first day of the strike. He said their actions helped to maintain service to the public in key sectors such as hospitals, government revenue departments, and customs. Over in Guyana, the Public Service Union has rejected an offer made by the David Granger administration for salary increases this year. Head of the Department of Public Service, Reginald Brotherson, who is leading the government's negotiating team, did not disclose what the offer was, but he said it was based on last year's formula and it was all government could afford at this time. Brotherson said salary discussions, which commenced on September 26th, were cordial, frank and open, and the government team agreed to start looking at allowances, particularly those that have not changed for almost 3 decades. The two sides are expected to meet again next week, and Brotherson said the government is hoping to have the negotiations concluded ahead of the presentation of the 2018 budget. Students at the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus in Trinidad and Tobago held a protest on Monday to draw attention to their security concerns. There have been reports in recent times of an increase in crime on the campus. The students say they don't feel safe and it's time their concerns are addressed. We get more in this report from Dion Batiste of C News.
Enough is enough! Safety first! Enough is enough! Safety first! Code red! Code red! Code red! Code red!
The chant of frustrated students led by the UE Student Guild as they delivered letters to the principal and head of security at the St. Augustine campus on Monday. According to Guild President Jonathan Nahus, there has been a marked increase in the number of reports of criminal activity on the UE St. Augustine campus, among them robberies and reports of sexual assault. He says students have made recommendations for additional security measures to be implemented. The suggestions have been handed over to the university administrators for their consideration.
This is our campus where we are supposed to come and pursue our educations. We have the right to feel safe here. And we have the right to be heard, and we have the right for these reasonable requests. So today, we stand here to show that we are supporting this proposal that we all drafted together last week.
Vice President of the UE Guild, Daria Narain, said the effects of a growing criminal element can be felt not only on campus, but in communities across the country. He urged students to take a stand not only for improved security measures on campus, but for a safer, better Trinidad and Tobago.
Our safety and security has been taken for granted on the campus, and we need to ensure that measures are put in place to better this, to improve our systems all around the campus. We are students who need to come here onto this environment and feel safe, to feel secure, and to feel as if our education is not being put at risk. We need to strive for a better country. We are all responsible for our community. So it starts here. This is our home. Is this not our home? Yes! This is our home, and we're going to go the extra mile to ensure that our safety and all the students' safety is accomplished.
Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, more survivors found from a weekend shipwreck off Haiti. That story and more after the break. Do stay with us.
Come, sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Shh, look, listen, feel. Realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
Join us from November 16th to 19th, 2017 for the Barbados Food and Rum Festival, where acclaimed Barbadian chefs and mixologists are joined by Chef Jean-Georges of the U.S., Chef Tom Akins of the U.K., Chef Chris De La Rosa of Canada, to create dining experiences to delight the senses. Visit GoingPlacesTravel.com to book your packages and visit www.foodandrum.com for more information.
This is your girl Natisha Stream. I'm a singer-songwriter, a lovers rock artist. Soulful sister, positive, very energetic, you know, a nature person. I started out doing it by doing backup singing. My baby father, he died, and I had to choose a journey.
An update on the search for survivors after a boat capsized off Haiti on Sunday. 2 more people were found on Monday, and that brings to 9 the number of people rescued after the shipwreck of the boat carrying at least 50 people off Turtle Island north of Haiti. The Coast Guard, which is coordinating the search, did not give the location, neither did it prompt details about the latest discoveries. Survivors have said that the boat was trying to illegally make its way to Providenciales in the Turks and Caicos Islands when it capsized. Haiti's President Jovenel Moïse on Tuesday expressed sympathy to the families of those who are still missing. 1 month after the devastation caused by Hurricane Irma on St. Martin, the government has put mechanisms in place to boost the economy. Among those mechanisms is compensation for victims. Each family will get 300 euros plus an extra 100 euros for each child. Plans are also being put in place to get companies back in business, and they will receive financial aid from a fund of more than 10 million euros. We get more in this special report from our friends at France Caraïbe Broadcast.
At the request of the President of the collectivity of St. Martin, we wish to give this type of aid in the form of prepaid cards. It is therefore a complementary aid from the state that will intervene in the coming winds and allows consumption on the spot.
And to encourage the economy, recovery of financial aid will be given to companies in parallel donations from associations that had raised more than 10 million euros.
We have on our side an exceptional aid to the restart of the companies, which involves the amount of 1,000 euros, 5,000 euros and 10,000 euros according to the company, which without for the partial employment. And on the other side, we have at the same time the Union of the Employers and the Foundation of Friends, which investigate the same cases.
The same arrangement with the only difference that the private sector will provide loans up to 45,000 euros maximum. But behind the economic and social aspect, there is education. If in Saint-Barthélemy all the schools have reopened, in Saint-Martin this concerns only 50% of them.
Without school, there is no life. No life, there is no economic life, so we cannot re-engage a virtuous cycle. And I can assure you that one of my greatest pride was to attend at the first reopening after Irma.
A report on the progress of the fire will be made on October 30th. The First Minister will go to the place on November 6th next to attest to the total recovery of schools expected to return from the Toussaint holidays. Meanwhile, the 300 refugees from Saint-Martin who were staying in an emergency in France at a hotel in Paris airport were relocated to a castle in a small village in the west of the capital. Sonia is relieved.
We are reassured because there are gendarmes and people who take care of us. So I say that life is beginning to change. Children will be able to go to school. It's a good thing, a good adventure.
And ahead in Newsline Sports, Zimbabwe manages a draw on the final day of the West Indies three-day tour. Stay with us. Sport is next.
Come, sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Shh, look, listen, feel. Realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
Nod your heads nice and big if you understand. All right, feel your eyelids. Notice how tight those eyelids are getting now. Sticking, gluing, locking shut. So I'm putting the super glue over those eyelids now. Sealing them, gluing them, locking them shut. The glue's starting to dry, getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Really feel it. Really experience it. It's happening. It will happen, and it's going to happen, and it always does. It's pretty crazy stuff. To the point where it's completely, totally glued, locked shut, completely, totally glued, locked shut. And no matter how hard you think you can open your eyes, they're just going to stay completely glued.
Cricket tops our Tuesday sports segment. Zimbabwe's first-class team managed to pull off a draw on the final day of the three-day tour match against West Indies at Bulawayo. The visiting Windies resuming on an overnight score of 74 for 1, declared on 263 for 5, with a brilliant knock of 77 from Kieran Powell, while Kyle Hope chipped in with 61 and Shimron Hetmeyer falling just short of a half-century. There were also contributions from Shane Dowich, who remained unbeaten on 37, while Jermaine Blackwood added 25 runs. In reply, the host could only muster 70 runs for the loss of 4 wickets at the end of the match. Justice Chibaba was the only batsman to make a significant contribution of 24 for Zimbabwe. Devendra Bishu, Miguel Cummins, Raymond Reefer and Shannon Gabriel picked up 1 wicket each. The next match will be the first test on October 21st at the Queen's Sports Club in Bulawayo. Well, meanwhile, former West Indies wicketkeeper batsman Derek Murray is disappointed with the selection of the squad in Zimbabwe, but he expects the Caribbean side to sweep the series. The Trinidadian spoke with TV6's Vinod Nawani over the weekend.
Of England tour, where the West Indies lost the Test series 2-1, the Caribbean side now prepares for a two-match series against host Zimbabwe starting October 21st. Even though the lads in maroon have been losing quite regularly, former wicketkeeper Derek Murray expects the Windies to come out on top.
Well, I certainly hope and expect that the West Indies will dominate the series. I think particularly the state of the two countries' game at the moment, the West Indies will obviously be the more experienced. So I would fully expect the West Indies team to come out of the series triumphant.
Having said that, Murray believes the Windies cannot become complacent, especially as Zimbabwe were competitive against host Sri Lanka recently in a one-off test won by the Sri Lankans.
It is a test for the West Indies. It's not often we would think that a West Indies-Zimbabwe test series would be that competitive. It is going to be competitive.
The same Windies test squad that played against England has been selected for Zimbabwe. But Murray is not 100% satisfied with the team picked.
I would think if I were one of the players on the periphery, I would be very disappointed that the West Indies have maintained some of the players that didn't perform in England. But having said that, you know, the selectors are showing faith in some players, but they need to be looking at themselves.
Both test matches are being played in Bulawayo, and Murray expects a 2-0 outcome in favor of the Caribbean side.
Moving over to football, Trinidad and Tobago's emotional World Cup qualifying victory over the United States last Tuesday has propelled it to third in the Caribbean Football Union rankings. In the rankings released Monday by the sports world governing body FIFA, the Soca Warriors made a significant jump. They moved up 16 places to 83rd, making them the biggest movers in the Caribbean following the emotional 2-1 victory that zapped the United States' claim for a place in the 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia. The result was sweet revenge for the Twin Island Republic after the Americans dealt them a similar blow in qualification for the 1990 FIFA World Cup in Italy. Though the Soca Warriors lost 3-1 on the road against Mexico 2 Fridays ago in San Luis, that did not seem to hurt them too much, and they have moved past Curacao in the CFU rankings, leaving only Haiti and Jamaica ahead of them, with St. Kitts and Nevis rounding out the top 5. The Haitians drew 3-3 with host Japan in an international friendly last Tuesday in Yokohama in their first action in more than a year, but it was still good enough to help them earn the CFU top spot that they have held for the last 13 months, although they dropped 8 places in the world rankings to 56. Over to hockey. Guyana is hosting the 7th Pan American Cups for the first time since the tournament began in 2002. The best of Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados and host Guyana are going up against the likes of Canada, the United States, Uruguay, Argentina and Mexico this week. The games serve as the Pan American Continental qualifier for the International Hockey Federation's Indoor Hockey World Cups, scheduled for February next year in Berlin, Germany. Isan Griffith of Capital News took in some of the action on day 1 of the tournament.
Well, let's tell you that the Indoor Hockey Pan American Championship got off to a flying start this morning at the Cliff Francis Sports Hall. This championship will see over 7 Caribbean and international countries competing over 5 days.
Top-rated Argentina women's team demolished Barbados 40-0, while Guyana suffered a heartfelt loss to Uruguay 4-3 from a game that went down to the wire. Guyana was down to play Argentina later this evening, and female head coach Dwayne Scott believed that the team can shake off the fear and really compete at the international level.
Tough game there with Guyana just now. Tell me how it went down for you.
Very tough game. Very tough game. Guyana is a very good team. It did too much difficult for us to win, but hope we win at the end.
Dwayne, what do you think went wrong with Guyana game there just now? What's something you have to improve on going forward?
Actually, nothing went wrong. We executed the plan. It was an unfortunate circumstance. It was a counter-attack opportunity for Uruguay, which resulted in a penalty. These are things that happen. This is the way the game is.
Tough loss for Guyana there, but going forward for all the game, what do you think some of the things you have to work on to improve?
We just need to work on our coverage, our pace of the ball. We've done a phenomenal job so far. We just need to tighten up in the areas which let us down, which is definitely the court coverage, the pace, and potency of our passes, and we should be in order.
Some of the big names in Jamaica sports were recognized during the National Honors and Awards ceremony on Monday. Among them was the man who mentored Jamaica's top female sprinters and a former football captain who was the first to lead a Caribbean nation to the World Cup. TVJ's Jermaine Brown was at the ceremony and filed this report.
Was guided the careers of the likes of world and Olympic champion Shelly Fraser-Price, Asava Powell, Melaine Walker, Michael Frater, Sharon Simpson, Bridget Foster Hilton, and most recently, double Olympic sprint champion Elaine Thompson, was on Monday awarded the Order of Jamaica. In all, Francis's MVP track and field club has contributed to 28 of the nation's 77 Olympic medals and 48 of the nation's World Outdoor Athletic Championship medals.
Well, obviously, like everybody else, I'm elated, and it's a great honor, and it's something that you may not think about, but once you have been recognized, then it's important.
Longtime track and field administrator Ian Forbes, who served as a technical leader on Jamaica's team to this year's World Championships in London, was also honored at the ceremony, receiving the Order of Distinction in the rank of Commander for service through volunteerism in the field of sports and youth mentorship.
Of course, one doesn't necessarily set out to get recognition. One just goes out and try to do one's best in terms of helping to transform lives and to help persons develop and reach their full potential. So I'm very pleased and thankful for this award.
Reggae Boys head coach and former captain Theodore Tapper Whitmore also received the Order of Distinction in the rank of officer.
It's a wonderful feeling, another notch, but it's a great feeling to be here at this moment, that you could be recognized for the service you have provided for your country.
And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Join us from November 16th to 19th, 2017 for the Barbados Food and Rum Festival, where acclaimed Barbadian chefs and mixologists are joined by Chef Jean-Georges of the U.S., Chef Tom Akins of the U.K., Chef Chris De La Rosa of Canada, to create dining experiences to delight the senses. Visit GoingPlacesTravel.com to book your packages and visit www.foodandrum.com for more information.
Again, the major developments of this day: the World Bank providing Dominica with a more than 300 million EC dollar package to help the island recover from Hurricane Maria. And in sport, Zimbabwe's first-class team pulls off a draw on the final day of the three-day tour match against West Indies. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to CarnaNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Do have yourselves a good night.